Hey, good morning and welcome back to Fat Guy Productions. I am Paul, coming to you as always from amazing Las Vegas, Nevada. This is part two of a three-part series on making a wedding set out of some Morgan silver dollars. The customer wanted a matched set of 18, well, as old as I could get, matched years. So these are 1880 Morgan silver dollars. And in part one, you saw me make the man's ring. So that one's done. And today, part two, we're going to take the other coin and we're going to make the woman's ring. This should be an interesting ring with some challenges, trying to make it feminine and yet the right size and still keep the details that they want in it. So follow along and enjoy.
I always begin making my rings by annealing. Some people do it later in the process. I do it right up front. I think it makes it easier to punch the hole, and it makes it easy to make the first fold. So I always anneal right out of the gate. Again, don't be afraid to quench the coin. This is silver, and quenching will not harden it. And it's kind of fun to do. So, quench away. For this ring, I want the ring to be as small as possible because this is the woman's ring. So instead of using the normal punch I would use, I'm going to use the absolute largest punch I have, making the hole as big as possible. This will thin up the sidewalls of the ring. I hope by punching the largest hole in the woman's ring that I can, and a slightly smaller hole in the man's ring, that I get a nice contrast between the man's and the woman's rings. My punch is from Jason's Works, and he has a great Etsy store. He also has a new punch out that is self-centering and will work with any coin and needs no centering rings. A couple shots with a soft hammer gets the punch out of the coin. This is where using some Pepe lube really paid off. And here you have it, one very large punch in the middle of my coin. Now it's off to deburr the coin using a simple deburring tool. Remember, the shavings are silver, So go ahead and catch them and save them. You can recycle them later. I don't worry so much about sanding and filing because the particles are so small, but I always catch my shavings from deburring. Using a die that the coin will fit into, yes, from Jason's works, I'll get ready for the first fold. For the first fold, I almost always use my stainless steel folding cone. I don't have to worry about it obliterating the inside detail, as it's never really going to make contact with the inside of the coin. It just makes making this first tough fold a little bit easier using the stainless steel starting cone. Be sure to constantly re-anneal your coin and be always mindful of softening the edge where you cut the punch out. I like to do it a lot, and if you even think you need to do it, you need to do it. You don't want a micro tear to ruin your project. For the rest of the folding process, I'll continue to use dies from Jason's works, but for the pushing cones, I'll use Deburring cones by Neil Pippett out of London. He also has an Etsy store you should check out. He has some amazing stuff. The Deburring is hard enough to push the coins, but soft enough that it won't destroy your art. If while pressing the coin through the die it starts to get a little lopsided, just stop, back out, realign everything, and start again. If you push a bad situation, you're going to destroy your coin. I don't know if I've mentioned it, so allow me to do it here. Anneal, 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 anneal. And then maybe anneal. You can never anneal too much. With the ring as far as I can go using folding cones and dies, I'll now move to the Swedish wrap. I bought my Swedish wrap die set from, of course, Jason's Works. Don't forget to check out his Etsy store. I'll leave a link below. When I'm doing the Swedish wrap, I use Blue Monster PTFE thread tape. I buy it on Amazon. It comes in these massively large rolls, and so I can really get busy with it. I love the stuff. Highly recommend it. When I'm getting ready to push the coin down through the Swedish wrap die, it doesn't always settle down in there properly. So I drop the coin into the die, and I'll use a slightly larger pusher to square it up in there. Once I've got it level and squared inside the die, I'll start to very, very, very carefully line up the pusher I'm actually going to use. If you're off, the pusher can slip off the coin and destroy your work. So it's really important to be level and centered inside the die. Depending on the size I'm going for, I don't always push right through the bottom of the Swedish wrap die, but I do love it when I have to do it. It's one of the funnest parts of making a ring. There's something satisfying about the ring popping out the bottom. After thoroughly wrapping the ring, getting the pushers perfectly lined up, setting the Swedish wrap die into the ring bearer, I start to press as fast and as smoothly as I can. Don't pause during this spot because you can leave a ridge in your ring. There she is. A ring is born. Here I'm using a tool I almost never ever use. My Jason's Works Swedish wrap set came with a smaller die for smaller rings, and I almost never make anything this small. But since this ring is going to be a size 6, I've had to break out the smaller Swedish wrap die, which you can see me using here. The process is exactly the same. I'm just using a smaller die and continuing to bring the ring in on itself. As I start to close in on it, it's time to get some size checks and make sure I don't miss the mark I'm going for. In this case, I want to get to about an 8 or maybe a little bit bigger than that, so that I can bring the edges in and give the ring a slight bulge. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about the size of the ring. I've left myself enough room to be able to bring the sides in, giving the ring a fat tire look and hitting my final size of a size 6. So I move the ring into a reduction die with a generous application of Pepe Lube and start to squeeze the edges in. It's all finesse and feel right here. Check your size often, make sure you understand what the ring is doing, and inch up on it very, very slowly. If you overshoot, you have to start to go backwards. This is really the stage where the artistry comes in, getting the ring to be the right size with the right look. Getting it originally folded, almost anyone can do that. This is where you really need to get a feel for what the ring is doing. You need to understand the process, and you need to have the right equipment. And this looks just about right.
All right, there you have it. A size 6 wedding band for her to go with the size 8 wedding band for him. All right, you can see the sidewalls are different. You can see the difference in the size. You can also, I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is more of a fat tire look than this one does, simply because I have more material to work with. It's really hard to put any more on this because you're making the ring smaller, and that's a really tough thing to deal with. So, but in the end of the day, I think these came out really great. I can't wait to get them polished up and sent to the customers. And in part 3, we're going to take you through the entire polishing process. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, make any comments that you have, and be sure to check out part 3 where we're going to give these a really good, shiny, polish finish. All right, this is Paul from Fat Guy Productions. Until next time, be good.